this could have happened.
Why are you whispering? He can't hear you.
Tell me what you do know.
He was screaming, not for long, and then this.
When?
About 2 hours.
You give him his IM backup?
Janice?
I gave it to him 50 minutes ago.
Any response at all?
Do you see any?
Yeah, put him on line of sight and let me know if his condition changes.
I'll chart it, but we won't be able to begin until after shift change.
Should we start the ECT paperwork?
It's awfully fast to jump into that. Give it some time. He may still respond to the injection.
He should have already. What?
Nothing. I had a session with him just this morning.
And did he say anything unusual?
No, it's same topic as always.
His delusions?
Not delusions, delusion. Just one, particularly potent one.
Don't you think I know that? That it's an impossible fear? A child's fear? I know that and it doesn't help.
So you realize that there's next to no chance.
You said next to no chance.
There's next to no chance of your fear being realized.
So it's not impossible.
Well, that's not a distinction that I purposefully intended. There's very little in this world that is categorically impossible. If you're afraid of everything that could happen, having a meteor drop on your bedroom, or swallowing the razor blades, or setting yourself on fire while you use the stove, you'll become paralyzed.
I'm not afraid of everything. I'm afraid of one thing.
And it's always the same.
Yes.
Always. It comes from under the bed.
Yes.
Let's go look together right now. I'll be with you every step of the way.
No, it won't be there.
See? You're exactly right.
No, you don't understand. If anyone else is there with me, of course nothing will be under the bed. That's not my fear. My fear is being alone with that thing. It'd only be me and it.
See how your mind protects its own boogeyman? You created a fear that can't be disproved.
Do you seriously believe I haven't thought of this? I don't need you to explain my fear to me. I need you to fix this.
That's not within my power, only within yours.
Are you suggesting I try harder? How many months of trying before I came here do you think I went through? Guess.
I have no idea. I imagine quite a few.
Doctor, I've had this fear for 3 years. I've probably had it longer, but I began to notice it 3 years ago. Back then, it had no practical effect on my life. Just a thought. It would sometimes come to me in the middle of the night. Wouldn't it be awful if I heard some sound right now from under the bed, and I leaned over to look, and then I began to notice that I'd stopped doing that. I didn't look under the bed anymore. I'd begun avoiding it. It wasn't even a conscious decision I made. It seemed like nothing at first. I mean, honestly, when was the last time you looked under your bed? But then once I became aware that I'd stopped looking, the thought began to grow. I began to think about how long it had been since I'd looked. Was it a month? 3 months? A year? And then I began to think, well, after all this time, if I look now, I would definitely see it. And then it wasn't just enough to not look. I began avoiding standing near the edge of the bed. You see, if I stood too close for too long, that's when it would come. The thought of being touched by it was more than my imagination could bear. I began to get extremely uncomfortable standing for any length of time next to the bed. Soon, discomfort became panic. I changed how I got into and out of the bed. And if anything dropped underneath the bed, I wouldn't get it. Even if it was just a few inches under, even if it was part of what was sticking out, all I had to do was reach out.
Why didn't you get a bed that didn't have space underneath it? Something that went right down to the floor.
But don't you see, that just feeds it. The fear grows with every adjustment. I've tried sleeping in chairs, in other rooms, in other people's houses and hotels. But it's adaptable. The hand, if it exists, it'll find a way. Maybe it'll be under the bed. If it's not under the bed, it'll be on the other side of the bed, or behind the bed, or if the bed's against the wall, it'll be in the closet or in the hallway. It's the existing is the unlikely thing. But if it exists, maybe not here, but if it exists anywhere in the world, wouldn't that knowledge blot out everything else? How could you live after that? I haven't slept through the night in the past 8 months. For the past 3 days, I haven't slept at all.
Together, I promise.
Please, I don't need a pep talk. I need medication.
I can give you something to ease your anxiety, and of course I can give you something to help you sleep.
No sleeping pills. That's not gonna help. I just wake up in the middle of the night just frightened and disoriented. What I need is an antipsychotic.
Frankly, I'm a bit concerned when someone is eager to take mind-altering medication. Many of my patients are quite resistant to the idea.
Aren't you the one who says I'm suffering from a delusion?
But it's not precisely a delusion, is it?
How can you say that?
Well, he's not seeing things that aren't there. He's not perceiving things to be real that aren't real. Instead, he's just giving outsized weight to a fear that is extremely unlikely to materialize. Like taking toenail clippers from the grandmother at the airport, having 5 locks on one door, worrying about serial killers when we should be worrying about heart disease.
That doesn't explain the debilitating nature of this patient's fear.
Well, if you add obsessive impulses on top of the fear and maybe a little religious preoccupation...
Maybe.
He's an atheist.
Are you sure?
You seem surprised.
Well, it's just that he was so interested in my rosary.
Have you ever thought about where its power comes from?
Tradition, I suppose.
That's what I used to think. But then, what if there's more to it than that? Deep down, everyone knows there's something crazy about it. I mean, do you really expect that if you say certain words in a particular order and repeat them in a particular way that it'll somehow have an effect on the world? The real world? That's absurd. But we keep doing it.
And most religious practices are absurd, depending on how you look at them.
Yeah, it's a superstition. Don't let a black cat cross your path. Don't walk underneath a ladder. Don't break a mirror. Does anyone believe in the logic of these things?
No, because there is no logic.
At least no logic that we can understand. Maybe that's why we light candles or we mumble prayers to ourselves, is in case. Just in case evil spirits exist. In case monsters are real.
Let me see that chart. Okay. This guy works at the University on biomechanics. Not exactly the sort to be overwhelmed by magical thinking. Was he born in the US?
What exactly is that supposed to mean?
I'm just saying. Other cultures can be, well...
Irrational.
No. Just...
What else could you possibly be thinking?
Well, maybe it has something to do with Halloween.
That's a stretch.
He reached his crisis only just now. Halloween's the time when all bets are off, logically speaking, right? Tonight, the regular rules don't apply.
The membrane between our world and the supernatural world is supposed to be at its thinnest on Halloween.
And the imagery, it's everywhere. Maybe all of this just got to him.
The pressure building as the day approaches.
Right. Something dormant in him that gets pulled out stronger and stronger because of this stupid holiday.
Don't say that.
Why not?
There's no reason to be disrespectful.
To who?
Anyway, there's another problem with your theory. It bears no resemblance to the way this patient describes his fears. He doesn't talk about it coming up from inside. To him, it's an invasion, like a parasite or a virus, and it can be passed on.
It can happen to you. It can happen to you.
Oh, I know.
No, you don't.
You're saying it can happen to anyone?
I'm saying it could happen to you.
Sure, even me.
See, you don't really believe it. You think your reason will protect you.
I know I haven't faced the same challenges that you've faced.
That's right. You haven't. Not yet. But you already believe in the supernatural.
I'm religious, yes.
See, at a minimum, that means that you believe in something beyond what our senses can perceive. You believe that death is not the end. You believe that there are beings that are invisible to us and yet somehow influence our lives. And you believe that we can communicate with these beings through our thoughts. You already believe in a world that's not wholly rational. So, once you take one step into that world, why not 2 or 10? And then, where exactly is the line between delusion and faith in the unseen.
Well, everyone has some beliefs that can't be explained by reason alone. Your problem is not that you have irrational thoughts. It's that you let them affect your life.
You don't?
Not to the same extent, no.
Then throw away your rosary.
Excuse me?
Just put your rosary in the trash can.
Now, why would I do that?
You'd be demonstrating that you're not under control of a superstition. It's only wood and metal.
We're not here to talk about me.
You can take it right back out if you want. Just throw it in the trash and let it lie there for 2 seconds, then you can take it right back out.
That wouldn't prove anything.
It would to me, for my therapy's sake.
This is ridiculous.
You can't. You can't bring yourself to do it, can you?
No, I won't. There's a difference.
Because there's a part of you that's afraid of what'll happen if you do. What if it's more than just wood and metal? What if you'd be breaking an ancient and unwritten rule? Probably nothing will happen, but what if?
This rosary was given to me by my grandmother. I'm not throwing it in the trash. It's that simple.
You tell yourself whatever you like, but that's not the real reason.
I'm not interested in being tested.
It's not just a test. I need to make you understand. It's comforting to you to think that we're fundamentally different. But how certain of that are you? How does my reasoning seem to you?
It's hard to tell from just a few conversations.
Do I seem coherent?
Like I said,
Doctor, please, do I seem coherent?
yes.
My thoughts are organized?
Yes.
I'm able to stay focused on a single subject?
Yes.
No signs of mania?
Not that I can tell.
No signs of psychosis?
Not that I can tell.
And aside from one very specific area, no signs of delusion?
That's right.
My point is this. There are things your reason can't protect you from. You and I, we are the same. It can happen to you.
What?
You know that's a bunch of crap, right?
Yes, but... Well, why do you say that?
Absent some underlying mental disorder, an irrational fear cannot have the effect that it's producing in this patient.
But doesn't that only apply to fears for which we have a frame of reference? Something that's already on the known scale of risk.
Kind of. I'm not sure I see what you're getting at.
There are certain risks that we are willing to accept, and some that we are not.
There's certain risks that we're willing to accept, and some that we're not. For instance, if I told you that tomorrow morning there's a 5% chance that you're going to get killed in a car accident on the way to work, you wouldn't bat an eye, because that happens all the time. There are always car accidents. But what if I told you that tomorrow morning on your way to work, there's a 5% chance that you're going to get mauled by a tiger? You'd go out of your way to avoid zoos.
The unlikelihood of the fear is part of its power.
Yes. The more absurd, the more horrific. See, I think people would rather die in the car accident than be mauled by the tiger. Do you know what the deadliest animal is to humans?
I do not.
Take a guess. What would you think it is? Lions? Sharks? Crocodiles? Other humans? It's the mosquito. It's not even close. It's the mosquito. It's by far the deadliest thing to humans. Who's afraid of a mosquito? Doctor, do you live alone? You do, I can tell. That makes it worse.
What?
Oh man,
What?
he got to you.
That's ridiculous.
He got all up in your head.
Don't be juvenile.
I'm sorry. I know this is serious.
I don't know what your problem is.
Okay, I'm sorry, like I said, but let's just look at this for a second. You were at home, right? When they called about him. You were at home.
Of course.
And?
And what?
And what he said, did it get to you?
Go to hell.
I'm not making fun. I promise. There's nothing to be ashamed of. it might have even made me uncomfortable too.
There's no need for that tone. I'm fine.
Okay. It's just that you don't seem fine.
I can assure you, there is absolutely nothing wrong.
If there was something wrong, would you tell me? Would you tell anyone?
Of course, I didn't want to tell anyone. How do you tell another rational adult that you're afraid of something under your bed? How can you admit, even to yourself, that you've lost control of your own mind?
But people do. All the time. They get the help they need, and they return to their lives.
That's why I'm here. I thought you could help me, but... No, I don't think so.
Don't give up so easily. Give it a little more time.
We don't have much time left.
Why do you say that? Edward, why did you say that? Did you say that we don't have much more time?
Something bad is going to happen.
You guys are quite the pair. Hey, do you need me to call you a nurse?
I just wish we had a better idea of what happened.
What else is there to know?
Well, one thing we don't know is whether or not he... You know.
You're joking.
What?
Are you seriously wondering whether he saw something under the bed?
Well, we don't know.
Listen to yourself. You know what? I'm reassigning this patient.
You can't do that!
I can, and I will unless you get control of this situation. The problem with this patient is in here. It's not under there. Go home. Get some rest. Maybe a fresh start in the morning.
Why don't you say what you're really thinking?
I just did.
No! Say it!
Howard, go home.
All I'm trying to do is find out what happened to my patient.
There is nothing else to know.
There is a bit more that I know. I was 2 rooms down when he started screaming. I heard what he said.
What did he say?
Your name. He was calling out for you.